Hello guys, we are from group Samsung and I am Angsheli with the metric number of 263255. So today we would like to talk about the developing and developed countries and along with their sustainable development goals which are from 15 until 17. And I would like to talk about the introduction of developing and developed countries and also the SDG which achieved by Malaysia. The countries which exceeding even the 12,000 GDP does not automatically qualify a country as being developed. The developed countries share several other characteristics, which are the following four. First, they are highly industrialized. Second, their birth and death rates are stable. Third, they have more women working, particularly in high-ranking executive positions. And fourth, they use a disproportionate amount of the world's resources, like oil. In developed countries, more people drive cars, fly on airplanes, and power their homes with electricity and gas. Inhabitants of developing countries often do not have access to technologies that require the use of these resources. They have higher levels of debt. And the graph on the left, which shows the top 10 of the developed countries. So, what about the Malaysia? The Malaysia is not considered a developed country despite undergoing rapid economic development over the past 5 decades. With a GDP per capita of $9,766 and a HDI of 0.78 currently, Malaysia is classified as an emerging economy by the World Bank. The International Monetary Fund also classifies Malaysia as an emerging and developing country. Still, the country is coming close to developed status. And what is the achievement achieved by Malaysia with the SDG 15? It was about the life on land. Mean area that is protected in terrestrial sites important to biodiversity was 39.5% in 2008, and mean area that is protected in freshwater sites important to biodiversity was 68% in 2018. The red list index of species survival was 0.7 in 2019. And permanent deforestation was 1.8% in 2018. And finally, the terrestrial and freshwater biodiversity trees embodied in exports was 2.1 per million population in 2018. And about the SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions, homicides was 2.1 per 100,000 population in 2013. The unsentenced detainees was 31.9% in 2018. The percentage of population who feel safe walking alone at night in the city or area where they live was 61% in 2019. The property rights was 5.5 in 2019. The birth registrations with civil authority and children involved in child labor are unavailable. Corruption perception index was 53 in 2019. Exports of conventional weapons was 0 in 2019. Press freedom index was 36.7 in 2019. And finally, for the last Sustainable Development Goals, which is Partnerships for the Goals, government spending on health and education was 6.7% in 2016. For high income and all OECD DAC countries, the International Concessional Public Finance, including official development assistance, is unavailable. The other countries, which the government revenue excluding grants was 16.1% in 2018. The corporate tax haven score was 0 in 2019. And I will and that's all I want to say. I will move along to my next group member. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rahman bin Muhammad 253342. I will discuss about Sustainable Development Goal in Indonesia, Goals 15, 16 and 17. Goal 15, Life on Land. The Forest Cover Index is an important indicator in determining the life on land in Indonesia because it can be benefit to us and other life too. Diagram show the proportion of forest cover on land area. It shows continue to decrease from 52% in 2011 to 49.8% in 2018. This is due to a variety of factors, both due to human activities and disasters such as forest fire. This decrease in forest cover will affect the rain catchment area and biodiversity in forests. Indonesia has a target to achieve 50.6% forest cover on land area by 2020. In order to reach the goal, Indonesia has action plan to reduce the rate of deforestation to 4 ways. First, reorganizing the allocation of Indonesia forest area. Second, using technology and information in use and forest area. Third, developing incentive and disincentive mechanism for forest management. Last, increase community management access right in forest management. Goal 16 is perspective in building peace, creating justice for all, and building strong institutions. This goal is able to accelerate the progress of other SDG goals and to improve the overall achievement objective of the main principle of SDG, which is no one left behind. Based on the report released by Transparency International, Indonesia has ranked at 85 in 2019 compared to 2018, where Indonesia has ranked at 89th. In addition, Indonesia ranked at 109th out of 189 economic based on corruption guideline in the Doing Business 2016 report. Goal 17, which is partnership for the goal, focuses on the achievement of 5 important issues, which is mobilization of domestic resource, cooperation of various parties including global partnership and cooperation between government and private sector, improvement and partnership in technology, especially information and communication, internal trade focusing on export, monitoring, accountability, and availability of data. Assist developing countries and attaining debt sustainability is one of indicators of this goal. Based on debt service ratio diagram, it shows Indonesia's ability to manage external debt decreased between 2011 to 2016. Then the debt service ratio shows decrease in 2016 to 2019 at 26.86%, which means Indonesia have managed the external debt at last 3 years. These facts show that although the nominal value of external debt has increased, this debt is managed in the productive way and still under control. Palapa Ring project is a telecommunication infrastructure project in the form of 36,000 kilometers of fiber optic development to tap Indonesia. This network has a capacity of 100 to 160 gigabyte. This network will be guide for all telecommunication operator and user of telecommunication service in Indonesia. The availability of high-capacity telecommunication network infrastructure can ensure the high quality of the internet, security, and chip communication. This project is running according to schedule and has reached 100% completion. As a result of this project, the level of internet usage has skyrocketed drastically. In 2010, the level of internet usage was only around 17.6%. 8 years later, the percentage of population using the internet has jumped almost 4 times to reach 65% in 2019.
Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is Asna Farzana binti Zubairi, metric number 262812. Today I will explain the SDG 15, 16 and 17 implementation progress in Bangladesh. For every SDG, there are some progress that can be seen in several indicators. In terms of SDG 15, which is life on land, for target 15.1, terrestrial protected areas was 1.7% of the country areas in 2014 until 2015 and has increased to 3.0% in 2019. Bangladesh also has increased the forest protected area to 17.5%, but the forest cover needs to improve in quality. For target 15.5, Department of Environment has also declared several areas as ecological critical areas and protected under the environment conservation rules. The country has also used legal institutions to restrict harmful economic activities, including designated areas for protection of vulture and protection of migratory birds. In Target 15.9, in Target 15.6, the Biodiversity Act 2017 has been enacted that has covered the legislative, administrative, and policy frameworks to ensure fair and equitable sharing of benefits. Planning massive awareness, stakeholder engagement, and coordination is crucial to ensure fair and equitable sharing of benefits out of limited resources. Lastly, in Target 15.9, biodiversity considerations have been integrated into related plans, programs, and policies of Bangladesh with a view to mainstream its valuation of goods and services provided by the ecosystem and biodiversity will be accomplished towards the integration of the values into the national accounting system. Awareness and education on biodiversity are being enhanced by taking up development initiatives. Next, in terms of SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions, for target 16.1, according to the Public Security Division of Ministry of Home Affairs, the intentional homicides rate declined to 1.39 in 2019 from 1.65 in 2017 and 1.94 in 2015, surpassing the milestones that was set in M&E framework. It shows that every year the homicide rate decreases consistently. This is due to the efficient and proactive initiative from the law enforcement agencies have improved the law and order situation which contribute to reducing the violent crimes rate in the country. Next, for target 16.2, Bangladesh adopting the implementation of the Rule of Prevention and Suppression of Human Trafficking Act 2012 in January 2017 and drafting an implementation roadmap for the National Action Plan. In addition, awareness program at school, college, and all public places, increasing night patrol in important places and arresting miscreants have put a positive impact in this regard. As a result, the number of victims of human trafficking decreases to 0.91 in 2018 to 2019 from 0.85 in 2015 for every 100,000 population. Lastly, for indicator 16.9.1, in 2001, the birth and death registration project began with UNICEF support under the local government division and had been implemented in phases. The new birth and death registration Act was adopted in 2006. In 2009, the Birth and Death Registration Information System was initiated to provide electronic registration. All this contribution to significant improvement in birth registration for all in Bangladesh. As a result, 54.6% in 2018 of children under 5 years of age has been registered from 37% in 2012 to 2013 and increased to 56.2% in 2019. The last SDG is SDG 17, which is Global Partnership for Sustainable Development. For indicators 17.1.1 and 17.1.2, total government revenue as a proportion of GDP, along with measuring the government's control on economic resources, indicates the government capacity to meet budget requirements. The total government revenue, comprising tax revenue and non-tax revenue, in 2018 to 2019 was 3165.99 billion or 12.48% of GDP. The share has improved significantly in recent years due to substantial increase in the number of registered taxpayers, rise in tax revenue collection, and prudent tax collection and management mechanism. Tax revenue accounting for over 90% of the total government revenue increased its contribution to the domestic budget in the recent years. For example, 65.85% in 2019. The contribution of tax to budget financing has already surpassed the 2020 milestones in 2017. For indicator 17.3.1, based on the table in 2018, the amount of ODA was 6.40 billion US dollar, almost twice the amount in previous year. The commitment of external aid is rising year on year, which implies that foreign aid inflow to Bangladesh will also be increasing, resulting in more investment for developing infrastructure and other sectors. Besides, FDI have surged by 50% or over 1 billion US dollar in 2018 to 2019 compared with the previous fiscal year in 2017-2018. It was driven by significant Chinese investment in Dhaka Stock Exchange and in a leading mobile financial service company. For indicator 17.6.2, fixed broadband subscription provides wide scope for searching and sharing knowledge. Connectivity to broadband internet is steadily rising in Bangladesh. It shows that 4.80 subscriptions are recorded for every 100 population in 2019, more than double in 2014 rate. Lastly, indicator 70.8.1 shows that the total number of Bangladesh internet users reached nearly 100 million at the end of December 2019. This new communication technology has been adopted at fast rate, with the proportion of population reaching 60.4% in 2019. The 2020 milestone have been surpassed in 2016.
Meeting SDG in Filipina. In September 2015, the Filipina, together with 192 other United Nations member states, committed to achieving the 17th SDG and their 169 target by 2030. The SDG, also called the Global Goals, have arranged economic, social, environmental, and governance target, and there was recognition yearly on that this need to be archived in order to attain the long-term vision as articulated in Vision 2040. The Philippines, together with 50 other countries, is presenting its volunteer national review (VNR) of the SDG to the higher level political forum on sustainable development in New York. In 2019, VNR are expected to focus on empowering people and ensuring inclusiveness and equality, will be highlight Goal 16, peace, justice, and strong institution, and SDG 17, partnership for the goals. 15 Life on Land. By 2020, Filipina ensure the conservation, restoration, and sustainable use of terrestrial and island freshwater ecosystem and their service. In particular, forests, wetland, mountain, and dryland, in line with obligation under international agreements. You can see in 2018, Min Arda is protected in terrestrial site important to biodiversity. Challenge still remain, and scores stagnating or increasing at less than 50% of required rate at value 40.89. Next, the mean percentage area of freshwater key biodiversity area, sites that are important for the global persistence of biodiversity that are protected. In 2018, mean area that is protected in freshwater site important to biodiversity challenge remains, and scores stagnating or increasing at least than 50% of required rate at value 36.47. Next, the change in aggregate extinction risk across the group of species. The index is based on genuine change in the number of species in each category of extinction risk on the IUCN Red List of threatened species. For Red List index species survivor, major challenge remain and score decreasing at 0.64. SDG 16. For peace, justice, and strong institution, a major milestone is the ratification of the Bangsamoro Organic Law, which was a result of cumulative initiative, including those by the international community to address a long-standing conflict in southern Philippines. First, report case of homicide, murder, and rape decrease. Violence, as reflected by the number of homicide and murder cases, went down from 20,992 in 2015 to 9,458 in 2018. The number of rape cases declined in 2015 to 2018. However, crime statistics are primarily based on the police blotter report that may be incomplete in capturing actual incident. The victim level of trust and confidence in government and their empowerment report the incident is significant factors on the quality of reported data. Score moderately improving, insufficient to attain goal. Second, bribery or corruption has been reduced. Data from 2013 to 2017 show there has been marked reduction in bribing items relative to the total number of families who have made a government transaction. The reduction in the proportion of bribery item has been noticeable for social service transaction and scoring of registration document. The OGP promote co-creation of intervention among stakeholders, including the government, civil society, and the private sector. However, despite this accomplishment, public perception of the government corruption remain largely unchanged due to delays in the implementation of infrastructure project and spike in inflation, among others. Lastly, on prevention of legal identity for all, including birth registration, 90% of children under 5 years of age have births that are registered with civil authority as 2016. The remaining unregistered children are likely IPs, Muslim, and children of the poorer sectors of the society. The Indigenous People Maternal, Newborn, and Child Health and Nutrition Project of the European Union and United Nations Population Fund, implemented by the Department of Health and the National Commission on Indigenous People, benefit for more than 90,000 IPS in Mindanao through its late birth registration component. SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals. To ensure effectiveness of partnership, the Philippines has been conducting the official development assistance portfolio review. However, SDG implementation is still mostly financed for domestic resource. Achieving the SDG require effective and cohesive partnership among various actors such as national and local governments, the development community, civil society, the private sector, and the other organizations to make optimal use of available resources. First, tax policy for development and inclusion. The tax reform for accelerate inclusion train enacted in late 2017 provide higher revenue for the government, but also contain a provision that discourage bad health habits. And next point, the train also recognize that there will be short-term negative impact. And lastly, the previous 10 million households receive cash transfer amounting to PHP 400 per household in 2018, and each will receive PHP 600 in 2019 and 2020, SDG archived in 2019. Second, domestic resource mobilization has improved to complement external financial resource. The ratio of national government revenue to GDP increased from 15.8% in 2015 to 16.4% in 2018. The steady increase in tax effort from 2015 to 2018 largely contribute to improved revenue performance. From 13.6% in 2015, tax effort increased to 14.2% in 2017 and increased to 14.7% in 2018. Lastly, despite accelerated public infrastructure spending, the national government ensure overall debt sustainability. The country debt service as proportion of export of goods and service erratically from low of 5.6% in 2015 to a higher at 7.0% in 2016 before settling at 6.3% in 2018. Moreover, amid large outlay on the build program, the government debt as proportion of GDP decreased from 44.7% in 2015 to 41.8% in 2018.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Xing. My number matrix is 261581. I represent the SDG 15, 16, and 17 in more developing country China and less developing country Nigeria. Since China is more developing country and its government done a lot in each goal of SDG, thus China has a lot of achievement in these three SDG goals. Let's look at China implementation progress in SDG 15. China has increased its investment on an ongoing basis, yielding positive results in the conservation of wetlands, woodlands, grasslands, and freshwater bodies. National implementation plans for conservation of wetlands from 2016 to 2020 marks a transition from rescue and conserve to a new stage of comprehensive conservation. In 2019, 12 projects of wetland conservations and restorations were proposed with a total investment of renminbi 300 million with the conservation government budget. National wetland allowance of renminbi 1.7 billion was also provided in the budget to restore 200 hectares of farmland to wetland and compensate wetland ecology benefits on 30 sites. Pilot projects of ecology flow studies has been launched for the Yellow River. Pilot projects for the developing of 105 hydroecological cities have been more or less completed. Next, China has preserved with prevention and control desertifications and future developed nature reserves. It has actively participated in pilot projects for setting voluntarily national targets related to land regrading naturality. In 2018, desertification control was accomplished for 2.49 million hectares of land. Besides, to ensure effectively biodiversity protections, China has intensively risk control against harmful biological inventions. So far, 187 national conservation farm reserve the gene banks have been established in China. More than 200 botanical gardens have built. Over 23,000 plant species successfully conserved. This is the South China Botanical Gardens. Since 2015, such control measure has been applied to over 800 million mu of land. The wildlife protection law has been amended. Law enforcement, supervision, and management have been strengthened. Not only that, China has been actively participating in bilateral and multilateral cooperations to enhance international exchange on treaty implementations. It has provided financial support to the United Nations Forum on Forests. China has also hosted the Kubaki International Desert Forum to facilitate international exchange on global desertification control. So let's look at the China implementation progress in the SDG Goal 16. China has punished all types of crime in compliance with the law in order to guarantee efficient security of people's lives and property. Public security organizations have carried out a range of special operations to tackle crimes. This involves seizures of arms and explosives, theft and fraud, telecommunication scam, privacy violations, theft of international trade secrets have also been punished. China has worked out to put an end to all form violations against women and children, as well as abduction of and trafficking in women and children, thus effectively protecting their rights and interests. In 2018, the number of domestic violence complaints was down by 10.8% compared to the previous year. Awareness raising campaign, training program, and advocacy service against trafficking in person have been actively conducted. Implementation of national plans of action to combating trafficking in persons is underway from 2013 to 2020. Next, China has strengthened legal aid service and public legal service network covering both urban and rural areas has taken shape. System of on-call legal aid service has been established. 650,000 villages or communities have residents legal advisors. More than 2,900 country-level public-level service centers and more than 39,000 township or neighborhood-level workstations have been set up. China has kept up its effort to improve party conduct and government integrity in greater depth and has won sweeping victory in the fight against corruption. The reform of national supervision system has been comprehensively advanced, extending supervision to all public servants exercising the cooperation in law enforcement and security in relentless fight against transnational crime and new and emerging crimes. The government has issued a series of important instruments, reform measures, and initiatives to make administrative decision-making processes more scientific, democratic, and rooted to the rule of law. The State Council has referred to the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress requests for the enactments and reversions of 95 laws and 195 sets of administrative regulations. Let's look at China implementation progress in SDG Goal 17. China has pushed ahead with international cooperation within the BRI framework to help drive sustainable development in participating. At the end of July 2019, 195 cooperation documents were signed by the Chinese government within the 136 countries and 30 international organizations. The joint BRI contributions mechanism include the regions like Africa, Latin America, and South Pacific. In order to increase its own capacity for growth, China has organized technical training programs for developing countries. Next, China has championed the development of an open world economy and the optimization of international development environment. It has mostly defended the open, transparent, and non-discriminatory and rule-based multilateral trading system. China has provided assistance for 200 projects in Asian and African developing countries. In 2018, trade between China and Africa reached US $204.2 billion, and which 99.3 billion was imported from Africa. Besides, China has established broad development partnerships to create synergy for sustainable development. China has hosted some important international events include G20 Hangzhou Summit, BRICS Summit in Xiamen, and the Beijing Summit on the Forums on China-Africa Cooperation. China has stepped up social mobilizations to implement the 2030 Agenda. The public-private partnership PPP model has been actively promoted. It has helped develop the BRICS good practice on public-private partnership. Lastly, China has intensified South-South cooperation to support the sustainable development of other developing countries. China has conducted development cooperation projects in partnership with more than 10 international organizations on food aid, disaster relief, refugee, health and women and children, benefiting approximately 20 million. President Xi Jinping proposed 8 major actions within the framework of China-Africa cooperation. Next is Nigeria. Nigeria is less developing country and its government done a lot in SDG 16 and 17, but Nigeria done a little in SDG 15. Let's look at Nigeria's implementation progress in SDG Goal 15. Nigerian government established a Federal Ministry of Environment in 2008 with a constitutional mandate in protecting the environment against pollutions and degradations. But Nigeria's natural resources like its forests keep depleting. Between 2000 and 2010, for example, the forest area shrank from 14.4% to 9.9%. The country also keeps losing forest cover at the starting rate of 3.5% per annum, equalizing to 350,000 to 400,000 hectares per year. Nigeria has more to do in the area of environmental sustainability. Let's look at the Nigeria implementation's progress in SDG Goal 16. Our FFFs refer to the illegal secretive transfer of capital outside the country to evade tax. As specified in the Partnership of African Social Governance Research 2018 reports on IFFs, illegal capital flight connotes monies from activities such as money laundering, tax evasions, drug trafficking, human trafficking, and other illegal activities. The African Union Economic Commission's of Africa 2015 report on IFFs. Efforts have been done in Nigeria to limit IFFs. Nigeria has reframed the work on corruption by using behavior change lens. This could reduce the motivation by paying adequate salaries. Besides, Nigeria has reduced the opportunity to partake in corruption through transparent processes, frequent verifications, and solid accountability mechanisms. Next, this figure is proportion of persons who had at least one contact with a public official and who paid a bribe to a public official or were asked for a bribe by those public officials. Despite the creation of tools and mechanisms to limit corruption, the level of corruption in Nigeria is still high. Human Rights Watch 2019 reported observed notable strikes in fight against corruption, quoting 2 former governors who were successfully prosecuted. The ICPC investigates the prosecute cases of corruption, recovering cash and assets using the non-convictions-based forfeitures of assets initiative. In 2019, more than $44 million were recovered. Lastly, let's look at Nigeria implementation progress in SDG Goal 17. Here are some tables and graphs about its economy. The Integrated Sustainable Development Goals ISDG model is a policy stimulation tool for supporting Nigeria to enact its national development strategy and programs with the SDG. ISDG 2019 report, the modeling concludes that it will require 142 Naira trillions to achieve the SDG. Nigeria has emerged as the largest economy in Africa with highest GDP of US $397 billion, accounting for 17% of the continent's GDP. In 2015, total government revenue was about 8 Naira trillion, falling to 7.09 Naira trillion in 2016 before rising subsequently in 2017, 8.73 Naira trillion, and 2018, 10.94 Naira trillion. Total debt service in Nigeria has been rising steadily since the SDG baseline was established, rising from 6.3% in 2016 and 6.82% in 2017 and to 8.26% as for 2018. However, this is a low comparison to many other countries. Debt service as a percentage to export of goods and services was 12.77% in 2015. Figure 30 show that this rose to 17.3% in 2016 and then fell to 11.52% in 2018. Finally, in conclusion, more developing countries will have more achievement in SDG, while less developing countries will have less achievement in SDG, especially in SDG Goal 15. More developing countries will assist the less developing country to develop, especially the more developing country like China, helping the less developing country in Asia and Africa. That's all from us. Thank you.